look at corruption, we look at what's happening in a lot of countries. When we think of corruption, sometimes we only think of African countries, etc., because sometimes some of them are dictatorships, right? But what the question is, what happens when there is no political competition in a country? What happens when there is one party, okay? And it would appear as though the media and that one party that is in power is seeking to strangle all other parties, to decimate all other parties. I would submit to you, Barbados, that this is what is happening in Barbados. And so I want us to just look at this quote from Transparency International about corruption and political competition. Political competition. I know sometimes we complain and we say, oh, why is it they have all these third parties, and why is it all these parties? Barbadians, I want us to reach a place of maturity in the way we see things. Because what is happening is that I would see people skinning their teeth, laughing as though it was a football match and somebody got 30 love, or you're playing dominoes and you got 30 love. I want you to look at what is happening in Barbados today, in all spheres, in all sectors. Are we happy with what is happening? It was only almost a year that Mr. Thorne crossed and gave us one person out there. Before that, it was just us on the outside, screaming, marching. And we're happy with that? Do we see how quickly bills are passed? So let's look at this little quote from Transparency International. And it says, study finds that political competition matters. Corruption is typically higher in countries with intermediate levels of political competition than less democratic countries. However, once countries pass a threshold to higher levels of democracy, competition is associated with considerable corruption. In other words, in countries where political competition is limited, significant corruption is likely, even in the case of relatively free and fair elections. Transparency International. I want us Barbadians to stop and think about that. And those of you who are watching from other countries as well. It's important that there be political competition within a country. There's another slide that talks about competition and democracy. The study finds that an increase in democracy reduces the level of corruption. An increase in democracy. So anytime you see a government is trying to stifle democracy or to wring off its head, to take the wind out of us so we don't have a voice anymore, anytime they're trying to strangle democracy and to remove it, we understand that the level of corruption is going to increase. You're going to see corruption between all spheres. The police service within that particular country, the judiciary, you're going to see it among, all spheres really. In the parliament, the Senate, all spheres. An increase in democracy reduces the level of corruption within a country. The author adds that a well-functioning and efficient government can help to reduce the levels of corruption by increasing the probability of detection and punishment of corruption activities. In addition, active political participation. Active political participation. Don't let anybody. I see people on here trying to convince us that it is good to have a one-party state. I have seen comments in this comment sections convincing us that our present condition is the best thing for Barbados. I've seen people on social media trying to convince us of that. That can never be the best for us. Never. We can see what is happening. We see the collusion. We see all the things that's happening in this country. Active political participation should be encouraged, such as political competition. This also contributes to reducing corruption, as it can help to push the government to formulate and implement anti-corruption programs. You need a strong opposition. We need political participation. We need political competition. Very important for there to be democracy, for this to be healthy, right? And I think that that is something that we need to, and I will keep reminding us about that on this show. So tonight we are looking at corruption. We're looking at injustices as it occur in a one-party government, one-party state. That's what they're trying to do. Thank God we have their other parties are getting their footing. And when you see the other parties are trying to get a footing up and stand up and be strong, don't tear them down. Find ways to encourage them. Write them. You see things that's not going right. Speak to people from the parties. And what can you do to strengthen those parties? It is for the betterment of Barbados that we have strong political participation, strong political competition, and democracy. That all of that feeds into gives us democracy, right? Somebody writes here, one-party state is not good for any entity. How do you measure the checks and balances? The fox guarding his own lair. Good, that's correct. You must. You must. Yes, Tamika. I understand that. Well, what we have to do is to you say iron sharpens iron. Push the other political parties to become what we want them to be. The same way how we can provide an opposition to the government, push the political parties. But let me tell you, there is nothing we could pray as much as we want to pray. As though you believe in prayer, we could come on this show and we can talk as much as we talk, but we're not in Parliament and we're not in the Senate. Do you understand? And the only way for people to get into the Parliament and in the Senate and to make laws and all of these things, it's through politics. That's how it happens. Whatever you think of Trump, whether you're happy with what he's doing, some people are very upset with what he's doing. The point is that it's politics that put him there. And those of you who are happy with what he's doing, politics put him there, right? One way or the other. So politics. You understand? We need it. It's not something to be shunned. It's not something to say, obviously it's a type of politicians, that we have. Yeah. So I think that is important.